Alright guys, sorry to disappoint you about Rick No Ankles, not more gameplay footage. This is actually an IGN video I want to bring up where Ian Cummings talks about his involvement with Madden 08, and there's a lot of key things I want you guys to pick up on here. Most importantly, I want you to take from this some of the key terms he uses. And the fact that he's been involved with this game and how long he's been with the company, and how the things he says about Madden 08 are strikingly similar to the things he said about Madden 2010. So I'm going to go ahead and play just a few clips for you here, and then I'd love to see your guys' comments on this.
My name is Ian Cummings. I'm an associate producer on Madden Gameplay. So the next-gen transition for Madden was definitely a tough one. We had a lot of core rewrites that had to go into place, a brand new animation system. Never easy. The hardware was very tough at the beginning. I was part of that team the whole time, and very, very strenuous project. So losing a lot of features along the way really has been tough for us. So now starting with 08, we're really back to full force. We've added a lot of the features we had missing, if not all of them. And then we've gone way over the top from any year we've ever done before in terms of new functionality, new control, new features, etc.
Okay, so how familiar does that sound? We've went back over the top with everything, and we've added stuff back in, and we've really reevaluated everything, and everything's great. So, I mean, again, how familiar does that sound to what you just heard with Madden 10? So, I'm going to go ahead and keep playing just another clip here, and I want you guys to listen to words like dynamic, animations that aren't dictating gameplay, gang tackling, breaking tackles, his focus with Madden 09, and then think about how his focus with Madden 09 might have really led to his focus overall with Madden 10 and what you've seen in Madden 10 gameplay. So let's continue to play this.
Control is such a big part. You can't rely on animations to take you everywhere. You want to have procedural solutions. You want to be able to react immediately if there's a threat. You want catches to be responsive. You don't want beauty overlooked, but you've got to have both. You can't just have one. So this year, a big goal of mine was dynamic gameplay, which means just never losing control as much as possible. We achieved that with a lot of different features, but gang tackling is a big part of it. Being able to be tackled at any time, to break any tackle at any time. Those are major changes to the way the game's played. There's a lot of.
Okay, so again, we heard a word in there right away, procedural, procedural tackling, gameplay changes, animations that don't dictate the play, gang tackling, being able to break a tackle, not having the user lose control. Again, are these things you took away from Madden 08? Are these things you even see in Madden 09? But here is Ian Cummings telling you that this stuff is without a doubt in the game. So, and things that he personally has helped put into the game, and yet we don't even see them in Madden 10. So let's go ahead and continue on. I'm going to fast forward about a minute or so.
Of the skeleton. Foot pinning is our big usage for it. Guys will, a lot of times their feet will go through the ground. When they plant, it doesn't necessarily look realistic because they're kind of sliding as they do so. I mean, that's just the nature of animation. You can't not have that happen. IK fixes basically all of that by pinning the player's feet to the ground. When they make a cut, they're actually going to have to plant now, and it's not a canned animation. You don't lose any control. It's all procedural, and that's what we're using it for.
Okay, again, goes right back to this is procedural. Right there, a big point. Players don't just float. Players aren't just floating. They're pinned to the ground, and they have to use their agility, and they have to make a cut. This, again, something that I didn't see in Madden 09, something I still don't see in Madden 10. And what we're going to do here is play a little clip past this point, but I'll just give you a little synopsis of what he goes to talk about. He goes to talk about elite players and shutdown corners, specifically Champ Bailey and John Lynch. And when we pick up here, he's just finished talking about Champ Bailey. I actually believe he references him one time in the conversation. And there's something important I want you guys to take away from this section.
Man coverage ratings are through the roof. If you put some scrub receiver over there that's just really fast, because that's what you could do in the past, he's going to shut him down. He's not going to get off the line. Champ's going to stick with him the whole way. On the other same token, if you've got an elite receiver over there and some scrub DB covering him, he's going to break him right at the route. He's going to break him right at the line. He's going to be trailing the entirety of the play. So you really have to play to your strengths there, and I think it's really emulated, not throwing. You have shut down corners now. I mean, these guys are locked their players up the entire time, so you've got to start looking at different ways to match up and get better, I don't want to say exploits, but you got to get a better matchup against the defense.
I mean, the major thing right there, I don't want to say exploits, but he did. You don't want to say exploits in your game really lead to how to beat a coverage, but you've just said things contradicting yourself. You've talked about a corner that you can put any receiver on him and he's going to shut him down. And then, it's just through the ratings that's what happens. And then you talk about, well, if you put an elite receiver on a junky defensive back, you're going to have these matchups that are going to play out realistically the way they would in the NFL. And the only way to combat that is defensive matchups. But before that, he said exploits. So again, exploits, it just confirms that they know that that's how people go and beat their game, is with exploits. I mean, he said it himself. So let's scroll through here and pick up two final parts.
You've got true zone blocking if need be. I mean, halfback dive is a bad example, but anything with a stretch, you're going to see them double team. They're going to look for the next level. The animations look incredible. The D tackle will know to actually bring these guys down. He's not looking to make a play on the ball carrier. He's looking to bring the double team with him so that the linebacker can come through and make a play. Ultra realism there. And I'll even talk about our engineer that's putting this together was actually an offensive lineman. He played in the CFL. He directed these motion capture shoots. He's implemented the feature himself. All the pre-play matchups of how they choose how to block. I mean, that's tough stuff to learn. You can't just be a game producer. You really have to be in depth into the offensive line play and coaching, and so he's done that all himself. But then going outside of that, I mean, you don't run into the back of a lineman anymore if you do. You actually push the pile if you have a big bruising.
Okay, so, with that offensive line interaction, defensive line interaction, I'm sorry, whoever worked on it, I trust that the guy might have been a Canadian Football Leaguer, but I think we all know the interaction is broken. I'm not going to blame the guy for being the one that directed all the motion capture and implementing it into the game for him being the sole reason it's broken, but here we are, Ian Cummings talking about Madden 08, and he's talking about things that aren't even represented in Madden 10 when he's now the lead designer of the game and 3 years have passed. So, where was that interaction, and how come if he knows it's an issue, even back, again, 3 years prior, how come he hasn't addressed it since then? And now you get into another aspect of him talking about, well, moving the pile. I want my players to move the pile. Think about everything he said in terms of moving the pile, dynamic tackling, procedure, gang tackling, being able to break a tackle at every point. And think about where the game has went, specifically with Pro Tack. Does it not seem like this is something Ian wanted for years and years, and finally he got his wish and his desire to put in the game? And finally, I want to play the most damaging aspect of this interview, which is right here.
I'm more excited about Madden 08 than in any year. I've been a Madden gamer my whole life. I've played every single one of them. I've worked here for 6-7 years now. This is the biggest jump we've ever had in gameplay, without a doubt. I mean, dynamic control, dynamic gang tackling, bringing back all the features, tons of new features, tons of new mechanics, lots of risk reward. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff there that we've never been able to accomplish with the hardware, and so I'm really proud about that. I think this is probably our best effort yet. I think we're going to win everyone back, all the community. We've listened to all the feedback. We've addressed it all to our best knowledge, the best we could. So I think this is the year. Xbox 360, PS3, both. Best animation we've had, best dynamic control, and it's coming out this fall.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's almost identically what the guy said about Madden 10 to a word. There you see he initially said that he's worked at EA for years, and then again you hear him say this is going to be the best Madden ever. Here's why, dynamic animations, and it's just really, it wasn't true back then, so how can you take his word for it now? I apologize, this is a long video, but I really do want your guys' thoughts on this. This video really dedicated to the people that PM me and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to cut Ian some slack. He just started. Give him a break. It's his first year on the job. No. This video proves here's the guy 3 years ago, knew the problems with the game, had ways of addressing them, and if nothing else, it looks like he's taken Madden the way he wanted it. with broken tackling and Pro Tack. So, interested to see your guys' opinions on this. Thank you for hanging out through, I think, the longest video I've had. And leave some comments, subscribe, feedback.